There is a certain kind of person who opens Instagram and suddenly forgets what they originally came there for. 1 second they're checking a message. A few minutes later, they're watching strangers vacation in places they've never been, comparing their body to someone filtered beyond recognition, silently wondering why their own life suddenly feels smaller. And the strange part is, nothing dramatic even happened. No one insulted them, no one rejected them. But somehow, after scrolling for 20 minutes, their nervous system feels heavier than before. Because social media was never designed to simply entertain you. It was designed to hold your attention, to pull you back again and again and again. Every notification, every like, every unpredictable reward. The brain receives tiny bursts of dopamine, the same chemical involved in motivation, craving, anticipation, not happiness. Craving. That's why people often keep scrolling long after they stop enjoying it. The nervous system begins chasing stimulation automatically, and over time, the brain slowly adapts to constant novelty, faster images, shorter attention spans, continuous emotional stimulation, which means silence starts feeling uncomfortable, stillness feels boring, even your own thoughts begin feeling harder to sit with. And this is where something deeper begins happening psychologically. Because social media doesn't only affect attention, it affects identity. Most people don't compare their real life to other people's real lives anymore. They compare their private reality to everyone else's edited highlights. Filtered beauty, filtered confidence, filtered success, filtered relationships. The brain knows it's curated, but emotionally, the nervous system still reacts as if it's real. That's why someone can love their life in the morning and feel behind in life 30 minutes later after scrolling, not because their reality changed, because comparison changed it emotionally. And the people who slowly step away from social media often describe the same strange feeling afterward: relief. Not because their problems disappeared, because the constant comparison finally became quiet. They no longer wake up emotionally measuring themselves against thousands of people before breakfast. No invisible competition, no endless performance, no pressure to constantly prove they are happy enough, attractive enough, successful enough, productive enough. And most people underestimate what that does to the brain, because constant scrolling changes attention itself. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain involved in focus, self-control, long-term decision-making, becomes overwhelmed by non-stop stimulation. Tiny dopamine loops train the brain toward distraction, toward rapid switching, toward impulsive checking, which is why so many people now struggle to sit through silence, read deeply, focus fully, or even watch a long movie without reaching for their phone. The mind slowly loses its tolerance for slowness. But people who distance themselves from social media often regain something modern life quietly stole from them: depth, long attention, mental clarity, the ability to stay with one thought long enough for it to become meaningful. And this affects relationships too, because social media creates the illusion of connection while quietly removing intimacy from many interactions. Hundreds of followers, dozens of reactions, constant contact. But emotionally, many people feel lonelier than ever, because being perceived is not the same as being understood. And the people who move away from social media often begin craving something very different: conversations without performance, friendships without algorithms, moments that are not interrupted by documentation, real eye contact, real pauses, real presence. They stop wanting to be updated on people. They want to actually know them again. And maybe that's why this topic affects so many people emotionally, because deep down, almost everyone feels exhausted by the digital theater now. The endless audition, everyone trying to appear fulfilled, interesting, beautiful, successful, emotionally evolved, always visible, always available, always broadcasting. And after enough years, the nervous system begins asking a quiet question: what happens if I stop performing? That question scares people more than they realize, because social media convinced many of us that visibility equals existence, that if nobody sees your life, it somehow matters less. But people who leave that system often discover something unexpected. Life feels more real when it stops being observed all the time. Coffee tastes different when it's not photographed. A sunset feels calmer when it isn't turned into content. A conversation feels warmer when nobody is mentally preparing a story about it afterward. And maybe the most uncomfortable truth is this: FOMO was never entirely natural. Much of it was manufactured. A psychological atmosphere created by algorithms designed to keep people emotionally activated. Because an anxious mind scrolls longer. A dissatisfied mind clicks more. A person who feels incomplete is easier to keep online. That's why social media constantly creates the sensation that something important is happening somewhere else. Somebody richer, somebody happier, somebody living better than you. And eventually, the nervous system begins feeling permanently late to life itself. But the people who slowly walk away from this noise often realize something freeing. Most of the urgency was artificial. Most of the comparison was distorted. Most of the pressure was invisible conditioning. And slowly, they begin returning to ordinary life again. Not as content, as experience. Reading slowly, thinking clearly, creating without immediately needing validation, being alone without feeling abandoned. And maybe that is the real psychology behind people who don't use social media. It's not that they hate technology or think they are superior. Many of them simply reached a point where their nervous system became tired of living under constant stimulation, constant comparison, constant emotional traffic. And they started asking themselves one simple question: am I using this tool, or is this tool using me? That question changes people. Because once you notice how much of your attention is being shaped, sold, manipulated, interrupted, you cannot fully unsee it anymore. And maybe that's why people who step away from social media sometimes seem calmer, more grounded, more present. Not because their life became perfect, because their mind finally became quieter. And in a world constantly demanding attention, quiet starts feeling almost revolutionary. If some part of this felt familiar, share your thoughts below. Not as performance, just honesty. And if you know someone slowly pulling away from the noise lately, send this to them. Maybe they're not disappearing. Maybe they're finally trying to hear themselves again.